diversion of arms to the Contras. It is clear and uncontested that the president was not only aware but ordered the sale of arms to Iran. The diversion of the proceeds to the Contras, he says he was not aware of, and the Tower Commission, after looking at all the testimony, said they have no reason to doubt him, and I have no reason to doubt him.
I wonder what your impression now is of the National Security Council and what role it might have in the future?
Well, I think the criticism that is being made of the National Security Council, that it played too large a role, is, in my view, unjust, or at any rate misses the point. I think the trouble with the National Security Council under the early security advisors under the early security advisors in the Reagan administration, was that they did not do the job they're supposed to do, which is to coordinate and synchronize policy and present choices. And they did do a job that they shouldn't do, namely conduct covert operations so that they would not have to be briefed to the Congress. I think the National Security Council ought not to conduct covert operations itself, and ought to reduce its operational role, but it should increase its planning and coordinating function. And under the new chairman under the new security advisor, Frank Carlucci, that's what they're doing, and I think they're doing an outstanding job now.
Dr. Kissinger, Ken Della speak with the Anderson Herald Bulletin. Today it was announced that there's been some progress made in arms control talks. Do you see this as positive and possibly something coming out of it in the near future, or more?
Well, I have not had a chance to see the details of it, and I have not been in favor of the zero option in medium-range missiles, but it is certainly positive in terms of the objectives the administration has set for itself. And it will probably lead to further negotiations on other topics.
Do you think, in light of the fact that there's still the controversy about the bugging at the American embassy, and that it was really in the best interest of this country to go to the Soviet Union at this time to talk about arms?
Well, I think it was correct to have the talks, and I favored the talks taking place. I thought it would have been more dignified to hold the talks in Helsinki and to have Secretary Shultz fly to Moscow for a day to meet with Gorbachev. And I think it's essentially the same number of talks and length of talk could have taken place. I thought it was somewhat undignified to go into a totally bugged embassy, but I don't think that is a huge issue. And I think it was correct to hold the talks.
It's not a huge issue in terms of the arms negotiations.
I did not favor that we should refuse to have talks. I just wanted to change the location of the talks. Yes, sir.
How would you compare the use of military aid in Central America to what the United States was doing before the Vietnam War?
How would I compare the aid to whom?
In Nicaragua.
Well, I don't know how, I'm not sure I understand your question correctly, but my view, let me give my view on the Vietnam War. Vietnam was 10,000 miles away from the United States. I think the motives that got us involved there were very honorable motives. The United States wanted to defend the freedom of a people that was being attacked by a neighbor that wanted to impose a dictatorship and finally succeeded in imposing a dictatorship. We got involved with more resources than perhaps was justified in terms of the geopolitical position, and we compounded the problem by being unwilling to make the effort to win. Nicaragua is 500 miles from the American border. It is the extension of a communist beachhead on the mainland of the Western Hemisphere. It's a totally different problem, and any president must be concerned about that reality. Now, what he does about it in any concrete situation, that's obviously subject to debate. But one certainly ought to be able to tell the difference between a country 10,000 miles away and a country 500 miles away.
Dr. Kissinger, TV, what topics are you going to be addressing this evening?
Mostly East-West relations.
East-West relations. And
along the lines of our discussion here.
Dr. Kissinger, Gorbachev has said he will not come to the United States first.
Oh, Gorbachev will come to the United States. I think we should stop inviting him. It is, I think we are looking much too eager in this invitation. He knows we want him to come, and he's using it to as a pressure on the negotiations. He has said that he will come if there is an agreement to sign. It is obvious that there will be an agreement to sign. I think we should stop asking him, and I think we should stop giving the impression that his coming here is a matter of life and death for us. And I think he will come, and I think it will be useful for him to come, but we should now stop talking about it.
how should the U.S. view the new Soviet policy of openness? The new Soviet policy of openness. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we ought to keep some things in mind, that after, if all of the measures that Gorbachev is talking about were carried out, which I doubt that they will be, the Soviet Union would still be much less free than many countries that exercise us so enormously in our media, like Chile or Korea or other countries like this. The policy of openness is certainly a step forward towards, for the Russian people, and it is designed to make the Soviet Union more efficient. But our concern should be Soviet foreign policy, not Soviet domestic policy. People have been trying to reform Russian domestic policy for 500 years. Russians have. Let them worry about it. That's not our problem. Our problem is how they conduct themselves abroad. Okay, I think I have to give a speech. You're asking me all the questions I'm going to cover later. So you hear me a second time. You'll hear it a second time.
As much as I can hear.
Thank you.